Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our elementary education town hall. My name is Ryan Hogan. I'm the director of admissions, and I'm thrilled to talk about this new program that we have with us at Valdosta State. Before we get started, one of the things that we always like to talk about at Valdosta State is start with the end in mind. And that's something that we really celebrate here at Valdosta State University is graduation. That's something that we are always looking forward to for our students. It's a celebration where our faculty, our staff, everybody comes together. And I think that's just sort of one of the first things. And that's how we kind of want to kick this off today is for everyone to start thinking about what the end of all this might look like. So I'm going to play just a quick little video that'll tell you a little bit more about what graduation looks like. So exciting. So exciting. That's graduation's coming up in a couple of weeks, and we're so excited about that. And that's what it looks like. That's what we do at Valdosta State. So to kick things off today, we are going to be talking about the elementary education, which is one of our new online programs. Just so everybody knows who's joining us, we are going to be talking through some different talking points, but we're also going to be monitoring the comments. So if you have questions about anything that we're talking about that you want more information on or something like that, put some questions in the comments and we're going to be monitoring those live. If you're not watching this live, we are going to be posting some information at the end, how you can contact us towards the end. So again, if you have any questions, anything like that, put those in the comments and then we'll be going posting some information live. I'm going to bring my co-host into this, who is the great and wonderful Dr. Debbie Payne. Good morning, Dr. Payne.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Oh, feeling great. It's Friday. It's a beautiful day, and nothing's better than talking about VSU.
Nothing talking about VSU and education. I mean,
every day.
That's one of the wonderful things I think that, let me just say, I think all of our academic programs are wonderful, but when we get to talk about education, that's just always just something that's just even better.
I couldn't agree more.
Excellent. So, Dr. Payne, let's let's talk a little bit about our backgrounds, things like this. There's something about me that I don't think that you know, that I have been on Valdosta State's campus since I was 7 years old.
Well, that's just yesterday, so
sure. Well, no, and it wasn't because I was a child prodigy, but my mom was a non-traditional student who came to Valdosta State after she had us, and she would bring us to class and things like that. And so I would be in the classroom with her and things like that. And it's so funny that how things turn out. Is that a little bit about myself is I am a Valdosta State graduate. I came to Valdosta State. I graduated with my business degree. I finished a master's in education. And then I've worked at the Office of Admissions for 18 years. I did put a note in here is that I'm not nearly as interesting as you are because you have an illustrious career in education and those sort of things. So I'll let you talk a little bit more about yourself. So take it away, Dr. Payne.
Just a few things. The mere fact that you mentioned non-traditional or first generation college student, that's who I was. But listen, we didn't call it that back then. Way back in those days, I was just the first one to go to college, and it was really difficult for me. But I just, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so I just found that way, look for opportunities to try to meet my goals. And somehow through that perseverance and through that drive and that passion, then I too have been an educator now for over 28 years. And this is my year 28 this year, and just still loving everything that I do when it comes to preparing teachers. Now I spent many years in middle school. I'm a middle school girl. Those are my peeps. And then in middle school myself, I was first year clarinet for almost a full year. For my band people, that's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Real big deal. So, Dr. Payne, I think the first thing that we need to start talking about before we go into this elementary education thing is, what is your why? Like, what is your why? What drives you to be an educator? What drives everything that you do?
Yeah. So, Ryan, I knew my whole life that I wanted to be a teacher. It was what I was, and I'm the first teacher in my family. So I don't come from a history of a teaching family, but it was a natural thing for me. I had the smartest baby dolls on the block. My baby doll children, they went to school every day. And I have pictures of even writing a little baby chalkboard and holding them up. I really do understand, and I realize when someone has the passion to help children, that you just want to move forward and you just want to succeed and doing the best that you can for others. It's really part of that service heart.
I agree. And one of the things, being in the Office of Admissions right now for 18 years, Dr. Payne, one of the things I think, and which sort of leads us into what we're going to be talking about today, is everybody at Valdosta State thinks that they have the best jobs ever. But I think I really do, just because what we get to do in admissions is we meet that student, who maybe is a sophomore in high school is thinking about, but even more recently, especially through the elementary education program, that, mom who the kids have graduated high school, now it's her time to come back, or the dad who is thinking about a different career option and now is thinking about going into education and thinking, no, I can't do this. This is not for me, or whatever. And then when we go to graduation, which you and I are always at every graduation, and what we just looked at right there, and they come up to me, and I know they come up to you as well, and say, I didn't think I could do this. And oh my gosh, I did. And it's the transformational power of education.
It is.
And to watch that journey is just one of the best gifts that I think that this life has given us. And I think that's where we start off right now. And we'll go ahead and start talking about our elementary education degree.
Yes.
Yeah. So, we titled this Removing Barriers. And I want to kind of start there, just because I know that was a big part of when we as Valdosta State, but you as a department head, were looking at this program, were focused on. It's like, okay, if we're going to do this as an online education degree, how are we going to do this? How can we remove barriers and things like that? So can you walk me through how and why did we get here?
Yeah, I totally agree, Ryan. It is really, no one can ever take your education away from you. You can lose a lot of things. And so in the conversations that we had, in thinking about how can we support the folks that you were talking about, or maybe folks who have different circumstances, how can we support them by removing the barrier so that they can be successful? And so one of the things that we looked at, again, in the Department of Education, we're always looking, and we're working with our schools, and we're working with our regions, and then with our state. And we know that in the 21st century, in 2020, schools need great teachers. Schools need folks who are dedicated, who are passionate, who are looking to stay in that classroom. And so we wanted to try to provide an opportunity and a pathway that folks could meet their goals, meet their deadlines, get in there and not have to move around, maybe not have to come to campus all the time. And so we wanted to be able to think, what can we do for our school systems? How can we support those school systems? And so that was one of our areas. And we knew that an online elementary education degree would help and support what we saw as trends, that we've got to have some great and good teachers out there in those buildings. Another opportunity that we really understood is that we know that there are folks out there, just like you were talking about, who started school or who had a few courses where real life happened. Okay, families happen, jobs happen, transitions happen, moves happen. Partner changes that happen. And so it's really about fulfilling those goals that folks have, that people could feel stuck in this, that I don't know what to do. I can't move. I can't go to campus. I can't, finish because I have to work full time. Don't we all have to work? Yes. I mean, we've got mortgages to pay. And so we truly wanted to find an opportunity to allow folks the avenue to finish that degree, to fulfill that journey, who still feel the passion about changing lives. Or maybe they started in a school, in a position, maybe a parapro, or maybe they've worked in a pre-K, and they realize, this is what I want. This is who I am. And so we want that pathway available to move them forward.
That's incredible. And, the students that I've talked to, and I think it's important to mention that this actually started in the fall of 2021 is when this started. So we're 2 semesters in. This isn't, something that we're just doing right now, but we're at the space now where we're able to want to talk about it, promote it, and bring it. And all those things that you talked about, especially for the students that you said that are feeling stuck, that they can't move, and this gives them an opportunity. And I just think it's just something just wonderful as an opportunity for them. So let's talk a little bit. I know one of the first questions that we're asked in the admissions office is about time. Time is very important to our students in this program. And I know that was a barrier that you were looking at when you wanted to remove a barrier for them. So let's talk about the time to completion towards the degree as part of removing the barrier. What can you tell us about, that barrier that you were looking to remove?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, you're right. But, we know that time is precious, times with families, times devoted to other opportunities or other responsibilities that you have in your life. And so thinking about that, we went through this process of how can we help our students here? How can we help them? So all of our courses within this e-degree program, this online program, they're 8-week modules. Okay. So not a full 16-week. We've compressed down. We've looked carefully at the curriculum. We're not cutting out the important things, but we're trying to make the delivery model as succinct as possible for people who enjoy and who want to move in that pathway. So all the courses are 8 weeks in length. You primarily take 2 courses at a time. So you have 2 courses, the first part of the semester for the first 8 weeks. And then you would have 2 courses, the second part of the semester for the last 8 weeks, meaning that you could be a full-time student with 4 courses in a semester, but you wouldn't be taking all 4 at the same time. This will allow you to pace yourself better if you're stepping back into into education, into a university setting for the first time after a few years. That you become comfortable again, and that you kind of reestablish your why and reestablish those patterns of thinking and learning and doing homework. We even though we always have homework in education, but sometimes you just kind of need that a roll back into the idea of being back into school. And so that provides an awesome opportunity to step in and to not feel quite so overwhelmed. If you had to step out of a class, if you can only take the first part of a semester and not the second, those classes will roll back around. Again, with this new program, We eventually hope to offer all the classes all the time. And so we're rolling it out, we're building and rolling it out, and it's going extremely well. You will meet what we call, the big term is asynchronous, but what that means is that it's an online program. You work at your own pace. You do have a pacing guide. Of course, you'd have due dates just like any other college course or college class, but you don't have to meet face to face. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not support, and we certainly will talk about that. But it is an online platform, and so those modules are fully built. You have access, you have resources. But if you need to work at night after you put children to bed, or maybe after the kitchen dishes have been cleaned up, then that's when you can work. If you need to work during the day, you certainly could do that. The other great thing is that we want to utilize, if you're in a work environment that is education, if you're in an education environment, we want to utilize that time and that opportunity that you have within that coursework. We have guidelines. We're accredited, which is extremely important. And so the Georgia Professional Standards Commission says, okay, if you're gonna give an education degree, you have to meet certain criteria. And so we want to use your work and what you do to help you meet what is mandated by the state. And so it's not an either or. We want to blend that together to ensure that you do what you need to do for us, and yet you still do what you have to do in order to stay in that school and work. And then we also realize, and this is so true for many, many folks, is, okay, well, I started and I only have a few courses. I'm not really ready to begin the education program. And so not a problem. Valdosta State University has a full online e-core. We talk about the core classes that everyone has to take when we're looking toward that university degree. So Valdosta State can take care of those online also. And so that transition into the education program and that transition to fulfilling it and getting your teaching degree, it's still available, and it's still available online.
Yeah, and I think that's wonderful, Dr. Payne. And I just really want to underscore what you kind of talked about too, because me being the admissions person, I'm sometimes the first person that people speak to when they're looking at this. And the asynchronous part of this is something I really want to underscore, because we have students who are doing this program. I have a student in Paris right now. And so it's not like that they have to be sitting in front of their computers from 8:30 to 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Asynchronous means that they can complete it as their schedule allows.
Yes,
but that's one of the most beautiful things. And again, we call this removing barriers. The barrier for time was, scheduling and things like that. And so I think that's one of the most brilliant parts that when we were thinking about this, that we removed. So let's talk a little bit more. There's, post pandemic, wherever we are in that sort of thing right now, there's been a lot of changes to testing requirements and different things like that. First, tell us a little bit about what the GACE test is, and then tell us a little bit about what's changed as part of that. Sure,
absolutely. Just really quick, again, when I talk about requirements from the state, and people in education, they understand that. There's a test that's called the GACE, and it really talks about being prepared to enter into an education setting or an education program. There's talk right now, in fact, it's open for public comment, about whether or not that test should remain in place. And so we anticipate within the next month a full decision about whether or not that test is removed as part of that pathway, that gateway into an education program. And so for anyone who's considering this, we'd like to talk more about what that means. And again, I believe it's going to be removing a barrier for entry into the elementary program. So we'll see what happens, but I do believe that the state is saying we need to help people, and we agree with that.
And it comes back to removing barriers, right?
It comes back to removing barriers.
Yeah, right. And let's talk another barrier is the cost, affordability. I mean, that can be an overwhelming barrier for many of our incoming students. And so one of the things that I would like to point out, and I'll go ahead and talk about it, is that the the cost of this is extremely affordable. It's $299 per credit hour. And what's interesting about that per credit hour is that includes everything. That's tuition, fees, books, and a laptop. So everything is in one fee. It's not hidden fees that come, you got to pay for this and then pay for that and pay for this. But what you get for it, I mean, of course, everything that we talked about with the value of the degree, everything that you mentioned, the value, that they're going to get once they do this, but there's also the support structure in place. And that's something that, honestly, being a graduate of Valdosta State, that I loved. I mean, we have incredible academics, but the support structure that we build for our students, I believe, is what makes us different than any other institution, is that we support our students outside the classroom. Mm-hmm. And so with that, and even being in an online environment, somebody might think, oh, how can I be supported outside the classroom? Within this online college for career advancement, we also have enrollment coaches for whenever you enroll and you have that person that's going to be assigned to you and you need help, getting registered for classes or help with financial aid, whatever that may be, you have a person that will be assigned to you to help you through that. So I want to talk about that as a barrier that we have focused on removing for our students as well too. So as a reminder, we are taking questions in the comments. If anybody has any questions about that, if you're not watching this live, we are going to be posting information at the end about how to contact us, that sort of thing. And then also, if if you have questions, you can put it in the comments, that sort of thing, and then we'll go to that. I want to move to our next guest who's going to be on with us is Miss Ashley Stevens, who is from our University Advising and Student Transitions Department. Good morning, Ashley. How are you?
Hi, good morning.
So Ashley, you and I, we talk all the time because I get the students admitted, I get them over to you, but tell us a little bit about your role, what your department does with our students.
Sure. So my name is Ashley Stevens. I work in the Advising Center here in the College of Education and Human Services. And our office serves our undergraduate students in the College of Education and Human Services, which includes our online elementary education program. And we really work with our students from the time that, they're in the admissions process, even to that point after the admissions process up until graduation. So you have a resource on campus and have someone that you can go to if you have questions. We help guide you through the registration process and course scheduling, and then that degree planning as well. But then we also just are there to help. So we like to tell our students that we don't have all the answers, but we know people who do. So whenever you have a question, we know who to connect you to get you the answers to those questions.
So Ashley, you talk to the students, one of the things I do is I help encourage them to apply, get admitted, that sort of thing. But you're the one that you're talking to once you get them in classes and different things like that. What are you hearing from our students once they get enrolled to the program? What are the things that they like? And Dr. Payne, you're welcome to join in on this question as well.
Yeah, the biggest thing that I know I hear from students, which is encouraging to me that we've hit the mark and we're doing what we need to do, is the flexibility that the students have. So before coming, like you were saying earlier, coming back to a traditional face-to-face program just isn't something that's realistic for some people. And so we've removed that barrier. And this is a flexible program that students can actually complete and fits into their schedule where it makes it possible. And so the fact that we're hearing that was the goal, I think, for the program, or one of the big goals for the program. And we're hearing that. So that's exciting that we're hitting the mark there.
I totally agree. I've gotten several comments from students because a lot of times whoever's building the course in this department, they want to teach. They want to teach that course the very first time to make sure that it's the best it can be. And the comments that I've gotten from my courses is, thank you so much. I'm now realizing my dreams and I know that I can do this. And my response is, yes, you can.
I love that. I love every part of that, just because, that echoes everything that we talk about in admissions, is that many people think, no, I can't. This isn't for me. But when we say, yes, you can, absolutely you can. So we're going to start wrapping up just because many of our audience who are joining us live might have to start school soon. And yes. And so one, I do want to remind that we are going to have a 3:30 session today where we might be able to take more questions and different things like that. So if anybody's watching this on their lunch break or something like that, we are going to do this again at 3:30, so you can join us then. But let's talk about sort of tips for success, if you will, for students in the system. Ashley, do you want to start with any of the tips that you have for people to be successful in this?
Yeah, absolutely. From the students' perspective, the face-to-face students, they really rely on their classmates. And I think that's translated well over to the online program as well. So students that are coming into the program really rely on your classmates. Just because you're doing it online doesn't mean you're alone. You still have that community there, and we're still, Blazer Nation, even online, we're here to support. And that runs through our students and our faculty and staff as well. So really rely on that support, including your classmates.
And I think the other thing that when you talk about as far as tips for success, back to the cost, that is an overwhelming barrier for many of our students. And again, being a Valdosta State graduate, one of the things I love is that we can get to know our students on an individual level. I mean, Ashley does that. Dr. Payne, you've told me stories, emails that you've gotten and things like that. But that's something that I'm proud of, that we get to know our students on an individual basis. But there could be, financial aid opportunities, scholarships, different things like that. The best thing is apply, get to know us. We want to get to know you, that sort of thing. And then, if there's a hurdle that you need to overcome, we can definitely help you overcome that. Yep. Dr. Payne, any tips from success from your standpoint?
I want to leave everyone with the idea of believe that you can, and I'm telling you, we'll get you there. We'll do all that we can. We will do our part to move you to meet that goal. All you need to do is to contact, Ryan's going to come in here and he's going to tell you what the next steps are. Get in touch with us. You can do this. We believe you can do this, and let us help you and be your partner to success.
I think that's the best note to end on, Dr. Payne, especially as we're all gearing up for graduation that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And, I really think I love that we started with the end in mind, that, graduation is sort of that thing. And again, yes, you can. So Dr. Payne mentioned the next steps. So my department is sort of the next steps to help get you through the admissions process. It can seem overwhelming, and no, you don't have to take the SAT and ACT if you've been out of school for more than 5 years, things like that. Talk to us. We want to get to know what your experience has been, where are you, that sort of thing, and what your pathway to this is. So I'm going to put up a slide that'll give our contact information. So that's me, Ryan Hogan, Director of Admissions. My email address is there, rmhogan@valdosta.edu. You're welcome to send me an email, say, yes, I saw this. I'm interested. Let's start talking about this. We also have a website that has more information about the online college for career advancement, valdosta.edu/start, that you can go on there and look at what we're talking about, those sort of things. We can also give you more information, all the things like that. So that'll be the next step in all this, is get in touch with us. We will schedule one-on-one time for you to meet with someone in my office, might even be me, to talk about what your path towards this is. So I want to thank everybody for joining us live this morning on this. Again, we're going to be doing this again at 3:30. So if anybody wants to join us this afternoon, you've watched this, you've got more questions, that sort of things, we will have more time. I want to thank my colleagues, Dr. Debbie Payne. Thank you for joining me this morning with us, and thank you for building this program. I mean, I sincerely just appreciate this, because what a life changer it is for a lot of our students. So thank you for doing this. And Ashley, thank you also for sort of fulfilling everything that we promised once we get the students admitted, you fulfill once you take the students from us, get them admitted. So thank you both for being here with us today. And I look forward to all the great teachers that we're going to have as a result of this program.
I love it. Thank you. Go Blazers.
Go Blazers. Go Blazers. Have a lovely morning.
Bye-bye.